We're back on track. Blind Guardian History Talk. We keep Charlie short, so we all can get home in time.
So, the production was, I think, one of your most ambitious productions with 200 to 220 tracks. And we know that Toman, who's not present today, but he has the opinion that the album is overproduced. What is your opinion on that?
Underproduced. No more comment.
Can you explain underproduced?
400 tracks would have been adequate for the recording. I shut up.
It is definitely not a question of tracks, and the whole track thing was exaggerated anyway, because that was adapted to And Then There Was Silence. And then There Was Silence is a very extraordinary song. Knowing that we worked on hard disk in total for the first time also makes a big difference, because you use, how can you call that, support tracks, which do not really contain audio material in a normal way if you would do it in a regular analog recording situation. So these 200 tracks literally did not exist, in a analog world, to say so. And if you listen to the music, it doesn't matter on which Blind Guardian album, I do not feel that there is anything which is not supposed to be there. It was hard work, it was toil, it was, it felt like bleeding, recording the album. But everything on there makes total sense, and there is nothing overproduced.
Yeah, I 100% agree. We wanted to sound a little bit more epic, because And Then There Was Silence was the heart of the album. It was, in our way of thinking, the masterpiece, and 40% of the whole production time went into that one song. And of course, if you try out to create a long story like this, a song like this, so epic, and try to build a dynamic, bring in a huge orchestra for the first time, you use all the tools, everything you can, all possibilities you have there, or options, technical, you use. And I think we did very well. This song came out great, and I don't know what you would like to cut out there, or which melodies you would say, okay, we throw this melody away and then it's not overproduced anymore. I don't see that. I think every melody makes sense, every vocal line makes sense, and the choirs make sense, the orchestra. I could not imagine that this would to be produced in a different way. It was at that time exactly what we wanted. It was a statement. Blind Guardian was going in a little bit different direction, and you like it or not.
Yeah, I agree. It was exactly meant to be that way, and it's not that things got out of hand and suddenly we ended up with, I don't know, 10 times more tracks than we wanted it to be there. We wanted it to be like that. And it's for sure at a peak, but it was supposed to be exactly this. And whether you like it or not, obviously everybody has to make up his own mind about that, but that's what it was supposed to be, and I still love it.
I think that the track count is also exaggerated in the way. I mean, now that we also do like real orchestra recordings, it's 64 microphones. It's like 100 people playing in an orchestra. So now when you do that with keyboards and you want to do it in a classical arranged fashion, you have violin, viola, blah, blah, and it's all like stereo sound. So it's like 2 tracks. So you end up at least with 100 tracks for an orchestra, which is just what it is. And there's nothing like overproduced in any sense, because this is what's in the arrangement, so to speak. If you look at a big score from an orchestra nowadays, it's all there, and there you see, and you go like, oh, if I record that's gonna use up 60, 80, 100 tracks just right there.
Yeah, but people just focus on that.
If you would ask Toman if 50 track is not a little bit too much, let's go down maybe to 40 or 35, he would disagree. He would say, no. I need every microphone here. So, I mean, this decision was done by everyone, and I don't wanna go back in any way. But if he thinks now that he went this way and he wanted all the microphones everywhere, and now saying it's overproduced.
But the album sounds different to what we have done before, somehow. You know, I still feel you can easily judge the personality of everyone in the band, and it contains all the qualities, but it's different. There's a different pitch also on the album, you know. It is high pitched, and in the low end it's different in composition, I mean, than any of the other albums we did. Maybe that is also the case when it comes to the impression people have about the album. But it's all high pitch and intensely performed.
Yeah, it's what I also think, you know, contributes to the complexity. I mean, there's a lot of people who use like orchestra. You know, if I use an orchestra just to double up a guitar riff, it doesn't have a different function. It just adds to the massiveness. You have down tune, whatever. You know, then bum 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 bum. If you listen to their stuff, you know, from the compositions, that doesn't exist. It's like this, you know, there's like little details that come in and out, that go, and, you know, this makes it very complex. And yeah, I can see the point, you know, that it gets very intense to listen through. And, you know, maybe that's what people think, you know, creates a lack of power, you know, because like all the details, and, you know, as I remember when I've done the Mirror Mirror mix, you know, my mix was much more into the details, because that's who I am and that's how I work, in comparison to what Fleming did for the album. You know, he's more placative. You know, he's just boom boom boom. This is it, and this can go, which is great. You know, but you lose a lot of texture and a lot of details. And, you know, on opera, we definitely wanted to have all the details there. You know, everything needed to be there, and this makes it very complex and very, you know, hard to listen through. I mean, it doesn't. You were saying this before, that it's not. It doesn't give you a point to breathe, really. You know, this makes it very intense. Like when sometimes when you listen to just one song, you go like, this is fucking brutal. You know, but in the overall view, I can see that people go like, it's not, you know, there's a, you know, all these little things that make it, you know, maybe sound not brutal for them. But,
yeah.
You know, if I listen to Punishment Divine, I mean, fucking hell,
Straight
you
in
know.
your face.
Yeah, it's right.
And I mean, with all the details, that's what's making the music or the songs interesting, because you have tons of things to discover, and it's not just, you know, you listen to the song once and you say, yeah, that's a riff and there's a chorus and there's a solo, now I know the song. You know, I can still listen to that album and always focus on different little things and follow those lines, and they take you somewhere else, and then you suddenly some other instrument takes over. It's way more interesting, in my opinion.
But there are two other things. That was a conceptual thing. We decided to make that a choir album more than a lead vocals orientated album. That is also a difference even to Nightfall Middle-earth. And the other thing, Punishment Divine, you just said, there are songs, and we did that afterwards quite a couple of times, but that's also different to many other power metal bands. There is no real chord structure. So the two of them are going along and are doing melodies, and the chord is, you know, somehow created by what they are doing. And it's not there because of a plain, you know, power chord, which
There's still a bass, come on.
not played on me.
I think this was part of the, you know, classical approach, because this is more like line writing, like in a classical arrangement. Even so, you know, a violin plays a line, viola, and, you know, the cello, and on any spot it creates a certain chord. You know, so this is a total different approach than just taking one chord, power chord, and playing it. So this is, you know, I think that also, you know, went on for later records in some songs, where this, you know, melodic line writing approach. You know, I mean, when I went to school, there was a class that was called line writing, which did exactly incorporate. I mean, this was for big band, obviously, blah blah blah, but it incorporated the classical lines, you know, in the arrangement into like modern music. And this is what I would say about opera, that it's basic. It has this feeling of line writing.
So it's a big band.
No, not this. Yeah, but this was this class, but it's the concept of taking the classical arrangement approach into a modern world. This is line writing. So
You mentioned the vocals already. The vocal performance also is a little bit different than on the albums before, because you probably haven't taken that many high notes during an album before or later on.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to do so?
It was in the composition. I just followed the composition, and it again was a natural process. Nothing we thought about it, though it was difficult to maintain, in the same quality than the other guys. And this is why I said I was bleeding, because getting that high and doing that with full chest is quite difficult, because it's not falsetto singing, which makes the difference to some of the other vocalists. It was just the way we felt, and yeah, it was more difficult than expected for sure.
So how do you rate your performance today?
I don't do that usually. We finish a song and I finish my vocal performances when I'm done. And I felt there was nothing to add after the opera. We later on, when we did Memories of a Time to Come, we tried to improve what we did on And Then There Was Silence. By the experience we've made by all the live performances, we thought, well, we could go a straighter way, we could go a way where I, stay basic, and that's impossible. It loses the whole attraction. It's impossible. Everything on A Night at the Opera is there because there was need for it.
Yeah, and now I remember that from the quality of the performance, that was maybe the most strict album and performance we ever did.
I think so too.
It is really, we really wanted every single note to be perfect in pitch and perfect in time, and there was no compromise.
And there was no melodyne.
yeah.
No, there's
There
no
were
melody.
no
There's
technical opportunities,
Yes.
to do that.
Yeah.
So everything has been performed that way.
Yeah.
And that takes sometimes.
Yeah, we recorded like this, and if it took like 20 takes or 50 takes, you were done when this melody was on tape,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
And when he said, yes, that is accurate, we can leave. And that, I think we never worked with that philosophy after that album. That
Yeah.
album is
Yeah,
maybe
that's-
the most tight album we did in our career.
Definitely. The whole album was concept, and if you would have asked me before, I could have told you that this will be the outcome. There was nothing like, of course there was a lot of like creative evolvement, but it was not that, it just happened that way and blah blah. No, we set out to do a choir album, to have like the biggest choir possible, and we double tracked every lead vocal, and not the way like nowadays with technical assistance of software blah blah blah. It was just I made him sing 100 times to have one line perfect. If that might have been overdone, if you ask him, you probably go, fuck off, you idiot. Yes, it was. But this was the concept. And
I'm the
we put
first take guy.
we pulled this concept through from the beginning till the end. That's,
Yeah.
I think that would sum it up. I mean, there's nothing, zufällig? Or what is it?
By accident.
Yeah, nothing happened by accident. That's how I would call it. So you can nail me now to the cross. I bring you the hammer and the nails. Bing!